Hello everybody, this is Mark with Shadow Wolf Designs here with another 3D tutorial for you. Today we're going to be going over basic character rigging in Lightwave, and what I'm going to show you guys is simply what your guys' normal assignment is going to require: at least one bone chain configuration and weight maps. And if you want full credit, you're gonna have to do at least two. I'll show you how to do one, and I'll show you how to put in a second one, and then I'll show you how to animate them. Then what we'll do is I'll go over, like I said, I'll cover how to animate them in layout, and then what we'll do is we'll go back into Modeler and I'll show you how to access the presets from Genoma. And they have bipedal, quadrupedal, so human, and then most animals. And then they also have 8-legged rigging setup. And a rigging is just like, well, I take that back. There's bones, and then there's rigs. A rig is set up, ready to go, ready to animate. It just needs to be attached to your model. But we'll get into that later. Right now, we'll pop open Modeler. Now, I already set up a box in here that has some geometry. You're always going to want extra geometry when you're doing stuff with bones, because if you're actually going to be bending it, it needs geometry to bend along. So I'm going to tab this to subpatch it, and now we got our nice smooth model. And that's important too, because otherwise you're going to end up with really sharp points. Next step is to go into setup. And this is where you'll have create skeletons. And you notice the assignment says bones, bone chain. In Modeler you make skeletons, and then in layout you convert those skeletons into bones. It's a little confusing, but we'll deal with it when we get there. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click create skeletons, and then the first one you have to click and drag. If you do not click and drag, you will end up with what's called a 1-point bone. If you just click, there will be a bone there, but it'll be tiny and you won't be able to do anything with it, but it can mess up your model when you start animating it. So first one you click and drag like that, and then you can just click the next one and the next one. And we got 3 bones in here, and this is considered one bone chain. Alright, so now we go into our skeleton tree, and we name it. And I'm just going to name them 1, double click 2, and then double click again 3. Close. Alright, now I'm going to turn off the skeleton tool. And then this W down here is weight maps. Now with the weight maps, it's best to change this to weight shade. You'll notice how it's green. That means there is none. There is no weight map on here. And for the sake of making sure I get all the polygons right, I'm going to unsubpatch it. And a tip: when you make your skeleton or your skeletons, start at one edge and go to another edge. So you notice how this bone starts on these polygons and ends on these ones, right on the edge, so that when it bends, it'll get a nice smooth bend along this polygon, in theory. Alright, so you click on where it says none, and you go new. And this one I'm just going to name 1. And the problem with that is, you see how it has everything there. Well, that's not good. Simply put, that's not good, because that means this weight map is affecting the entire model. Alright, so we can fix that though. If we go into map, we can clear map, which resets this back to normal. And then one way to do it is just to select all the polygons that you want to have affected. And then we will go to 1, And actually on this one, we will just do a new one, name it 1.1, create. Now you see there's this soft edge here. That's because every weight map has a little bit of a bleed. And a bleed is the best way to put it, and it goes about halfway into the next polygon set. But for the next one, I'm gonna show you. Let's see. We will new sub patch, and we'll name this 2. And this is gonna be the middle one right here. So I'm gonna clear the map. The other way you can add weight to this is with the airbrush under map. And the way this works, and this is when it's really important to be in the weight shade mode, otherwise you will not see it, is it lets you actually paint or airbrush your model and say, I want this weight to mainly affect right here. We'll come down here and make sure we paint this all. And then we'll come over here, paint this. Now, I do not know of a way to, I don't know how to get this to go in reverse. Right now it's adding. I do not know how to make it subtract from the model. That is something I still need to learn, but most of the time you'll just select your polygons, so you won't even be using this mode very often. Alright, and we got one more weight map to do. So I'm going to select this last portion, make sure I get it all, and do new, call it 3, create. Alright, so now we have one bone chain and our model that's been mapped. Alright, and then we'll go back to none. Okay, so we're going to save this, save object, 2, and then we will send that to layout, and it'll take a second for layout to pop open. Alright, so we're going to hop into perspective mode and look at our model. We'll look at the bright side. Alright, so the first thing you're going to have to do is have your object selected that has the bones in it. Go to setup, and I apologize, it's been a little while. And it should be in setup. Under add, if you click the down arrow, this is in 11.5. In 11 it should just say like CVT Skelegons. 11.5 they moved it, which is why I couldn't find it. But you go more, you go add, more, convert Skelegons into bones. Alright, now you can't see them, and that's a problem. So what you need to do is come up here and click on Bone X-Ray. Now you can see your bones. Okay, with bones, you never want to move their position. It can screw them up. See, that doesn't look that great. So we're going to Control Z that. We're going to switch to rotation, and this is how you pretty much always want to work with your bones. See, but now I can do this. And then I'll click on this bone and we'll rotate that down. And like, you may be thinking, this looks really bad, these creases look really bad. The more geometry you have, the better it'll look. And it also has to do with the better you are at making weight maps, the better it's gonna look. Alright, so I'm gonna set up some things. So surface editor, I'm just using the default. So I gotta make sure I turn on smoothing, make it look nice and pretty. And that helps it out a little bit. But I'm also gonna come into my object and into its properties and change the subdivision order to last. And you notice how that cleaned it up a lot. So before it was subdividing first, or subpatching first, and then it was doing the bone movements. See, now I can get a nice looking bend here. Except if you go too far, you'll still notice it sort of creases up. But that's something you just have to deal with. And again, if you get really good at rigging, you can basically manually fix that so it doesn't do that. And other programs, Cinema 4D is a little bit better with rigging as far as I've dealt with it. But with Lightwave, I mean, you're not going to be doing too much. And I'm going to wave. Alright, so to animate it, you set your starting position just like normal. Go out a little bit. Whoa, we got something going on there. Oh, scale, huh? Okay, get back to your rotation, and I'm gonna move this up. So now, in 2 seconds it moves up. That's one bone animation. That would be the bare minimum requirements, at least one bone configuration and weight map animation. So this shows that you've mapped it, done the weight map, and obviously you have the bones. Now the assignment requires, to get full credit, you need 2 weight maps, or two bone chains. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in here and do some stuff you guys aren't actually required to know, just to get this set up for another one. And what I'm doing now is I just deleted a portion of this box on the side, and I selected the edges, and then if I hit the E tool, I can come in here and it actually adds polygons to it. It's called Extend Edges, and what it does is it just lets me build out. And this is actually one of the key abilities in doing character modeling, because it lets you actually start from a single point and work your way out. And I'm gonna start here and I'm gonna bridge these polygons. Oh, we got a mess up here. So there we go. And this one, let's see, I need to cut these edges. So I'm gonna go in here and divide. And then I can go and bridge those two with the L key. And again, you guys don't need to know what I'm doing right now. I'm just showing you guys because I built a model that only had space for one bone chain, which I should have thought about, but I apologize. And when I make this polygon right there, I'm hitting the P key, which I believe is it's just called Make Polygons, and we actually have that one got messed up. So Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Okay, so it's this one back there. Alright, we're gonna unselect all of them. We're gonna zoom in here. Bam, 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 bam. There we go. And then do this again. And the reason I divided this one is so that I only had 4-point polygons, so they can all be subpatched. Tab. There we go. Alright, so now I have a little nub here. So what I'm going to do is go back into map, or sorry, not map, setup. Create skelegons. And I'm going to go from the top down view this time. And remember to drag the first one. And I'm going to come right out to here, this line right here. And then I'm going to click here. And then, because my bones aren't in the right place, if you click on this crosshair at the start, if you click in the crosshair, you can actually move your bone chain, which is useful for aligning. And then, you can also rotate your bone chains with the rotate skelegons. But I'm not going to do that, because I don't need to. 1.1. This is just renaming your skelegons so you know what they mean. or you know what they are, 1.2. Now you notice this weight map has bone 1, bone 2. That's because it's in layout, so it needs to have something. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and clear layout. Clear scene. Clear. And that's just so I don't have extra bones when I come in here next time. Now this time, I'm only going to do one weight map, because my base bone is just going to be an anchor bone. It's not actually going to move anything. And it is perfectly okay to do that. A lot of times it's recommended to have a anchor bone. Okay, so we have that weight mapped, and I just named it 1.1.1. So now I can go in here to skeleton tree, 1.2, change this to 1.1.1, and this one I'm actually going to delete and see if it'll let me do that. It will not let me do that. So we're going to close this. Now we're going to file, save, send it back to layout, and then we're going to hop into perspective mode again. Okay. Before I do anything this time, I'm going to set my subdivision order to last right off the bat. You notice it's already smooth because that was something that Modeler reflected for me. Alright, so again, setup right up here, add more, convert skelegons into bones. Now I have my 3 chains. Then I click on bones, and if you're not seeing your bones, it's because you need to turn on the bone x-ray up here. Okay, so 5 bones were created, and it automatically selects the last bone on the list. So I'm just going to rotate this one up, and then I'm going to grab this one. We're going to rotate this one, come in here, rotate that one, and it doesn't look pretty, but it works. We'll rotate this light around so we can see better. Grab our lights. There we go. And then you just need to animate. And you need to have at least 2 bone chains that are animated to get full credit on this assignment. Now, this, if you animated this, probably wouldn't get a very good grade because it's not a very detailed model. You need to do a little bit more than this, but this is just for tutorial purposes. But you guys should have all the tools you need to make a bone chain animation now. But I told you I was going to go over one more thing. So we're going to close out a layout here and go into Modeler again, and we're going to select everything and delete it. And we're just going to draw a circle around that and delete it. So I told you guys I would show you the Genomic Preferences. Now in setup, where you create skelegons, if you go down to the bottom, and this is only in 11.5, so if you're working with 11 or before, I apologize, this is not in here. But Genomic Presets, you click on that, it opens up this new window, and it may take a second. But if you click on Complex Rigs and Rig Parts, it has the individual parts, and these are actual whole entire bone setups, rig setups, so that you can just pop these right into your model. But you have quadruped leg, 3-part leg and foot. This is a human leg. This is an insect, like it says. And then you have all these separate rig parts, so that if you wanted to, you could go in and make these targets yourself, or make your entire rig yourself using what they have here. Or you can come in here to Complex Rigs, click Human, like Human Biped, and you see this has the entire rig ready to go. If you hit OK, bam, places it right on your right in your editor so you can view it, and you just pop this into your model, map everything correctly, because you notice it doesn't have any map weights here. And once it's done, you can take it into layout and you can have a fully articulated model, which is really hard to do from scratch. It becomes a real pain in the butt. An important thing to notice with these rigs though, particularly the biped, is you have to pay attention to what rig you're using. Like this biped has these extra parts on the spine. Now I'm not sure what they're for, but this IK spine, this is set up for IK boost, which Brian isn't going over this quarter because it can be a little bit annoying and painful. But the nice thing about this is it has these three. If you notice the hand position, they're palms forward. Motion capture, palms are down. So if you ever want to do motion capture, which you can do with a Kinect and a PC, you can set it up and do motion capture for 3D, and there is a plugin for Lightwave. You can do motion capture, but you have to make sure you set up your model correctly, and motion capture always starts with palms down. So keep that in mind if you ever want to do that, but most of the time you can use these other ones if you want the palms out when you model. This has been your 3D tutorial of the day, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day. Bye.